Okay, today we are going to write exponential functions. This is a really easy day. You just have to know the formula. Okay, and remember the formula that we are using is y equals a times b raised to the x. So here's what you have to know. A is your initial value. We also call that our y-intercept. Or we also, that is when x equals 0, it's whatever the corresponding y is. All right, so you can see it right here. That's when x equals 0. Okay, and then over here in this graph, you'll see it. Okay, and then b is our growth, or if it's getting smaller, our decay factor. And the key with this is that it has to be multiplication. All right, so once you see a few of these, you're going to understand what I mean when I say it has to be multiplication. So already on this first one, like I said, a is our initial value, or it's the y-intercept. So where's it cross? Well, in this case, 0 up 4, so my a equals 4. What is my b? So how am I getting from here to here? Okay, and I said it has to be multiplication. So from 4, to get from 4 to 12, I multiply by 3. So I'm multiplying by 3, and then I could check that. 12 times 3 is 36, and if you took a calculator, 36 times 3 is 108, and 108 times 3 is 324. Also, it's important to note there, you'll notice that these numbers are running consecutively. And that's what you really need when you're figuring this out. You couldn't do from 4 to 36. So if they skip the 1, you wouldn't be able to do that. So I have my a, I have my b. So what is my equation? It says write an exponential function. Simple. 4 times 3 to the x. B is a little trickier, but not really. We're still going to use multiplication eventually. But how am I getting from 128 to 64? What I'm doing is I am dividing by 2. 64 is half of 128. So we write down our initial, which I kind of skipped there, sorry. My initial A is 128. Now my B, remember I said it has to be multiplication. What we're seeing here is that I'm dividing these by 2. And then you gotta be careful because 32 divided by 2 is not 8 because it goes from 2 to 4. So that's because we're going over to here. 32 divided by 2 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. And then we're back over here. So this one's kind of out of place. But we're dividing by 2. What you need to know is that when you divide by 2, that is the same thing as if you multiply by the reciprocal, which means you just put it over 1. That's it. So we're multiplying by 1/2. So our b there is just 1/2. So whatever you're dividing by, just put a 1 over top of it. That's it. Okay, remember, this is a multiplication. So whether you do the little star or whatever, that's not x right here. That's not x. That's the sign for multiplication. Okay. So I'm multiplying each of these by 1/2. So my equation, y equals 128, 1/2 raised to the x. Okay, remember, always use your parentheses there, just like I did in the first one. And I'll continue on with 2 more of these. So these are all things that you're going to turn in. All right. So first thing I guess we want to check here is make sure that we're going, my x's are going in order, and they are go 0, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So that's good. My a, again, is right here. So when x equals 0, my y equals 3. What does my b equal? How am I getting from 3 to 12? Well, if we have to use multiplication, 3 times 4, that's 12. And of course, we could continue that on to check it. 12 times 4 is 48. 48 times 4 is 192, and so on. So we are multiplying by 4. So I now have an equation of y equals 3 times 4 to the x. My last one is a little trickier because these are really big numbers, but all you have to do is use your calculator. Okay, so I do know right off the get-go, here is my 0. So my 0 and my a is 2,187. And as long as even if I didn't have that, if I had these other ones, if I had 1, 2, 3, and 4, I could work backwards and figure out my 0 if it wasn't given to you. If it wasn't marked on a graph, like I'm going to show you your homework here in a second. Or like up here, if 0, 128 wasn't marked, you'd be able to figure out that we went 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Well, that's 128 if you just multiply out by your 2's. So anyway, use your calculator here. And if you were to take 2187 and divide it by 729, you're going to get 3. But I want you to be careful here. My answer is not 3, because if we look here, these values is decreasing. So if y is decreasing on all of these, notice how it's getting smaller, then we're going to have a decay, which means if we go back to our definition from the first day, our b has to be less than 1. So this 3 isn't right. But remember I told you to take the reciprocal and put it over 1. My 1/3 would be correct. All right, so if you took your calculator and checked a couple of these, you would see that 81 divided by 27 is 3. Or 81 divided by 3 is 27. You can do it in either order. Okay, or 81 times 1/3 is 27. And you could continue this pattern on and figure out your next number would be 5, 9. And then the last coordinates would be 6, 3. But this 1/3 here, a lot of ways to get to it. Like I said, probably the easiest way is to take the first numbers, divide them. But realize that it's getting smaller. And that will give you your answer. So my answer, y equals 2,187 times 1/3 raised to the x. Okay, we're going to save this for Thursday. So we'll come back to that. We're going to compare linear and exponentials on Thursday. So your assignment is just right here. All right, this is it, because down here, the linear and exponential stuff is what we're going to do on Thursday. So for Wednesday, you're just going to do 5 through 8. All right, and that is it. So have a good day.